VikesNow, I am Dustin Baker. We have a rookie on the show. This is his first time. We hope he comes back multiple times. It's Walter Rouse, a Vikings' new offensive tackle. Welcome to the show, Walter. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Dustin and Brevan, for having me on the show. Very excited to be here and speak with you guys.
Oh, absolutely. So we are underway with OTAs, and we got a couple questions for you. Let me get to Brevan first. How are you doing tonight, Brevan?
Pretty good. 10:30 here, so I'm an hour ahead, but I had to stay up for this one. I got the Celtics and Pacers up on the TV. This game's kind of crazy right now, but this is my attention here.
Yeah, it was my schedule snafu of putting these on top, but at least it wasn't a Wolves game. I'll take a little bit of credit for that.
Very true.
All right, Walter, the first thing I have for you. So going into the draft, I knew the Vikings needed offensive linemen because they only had, they usually have a bunch, like 15 or so on the summer roster altogether. So I scouted them. And for the life of me, when I scouted you, I could never figure out why, your mock draft profile was in later rounds, because your Pro Football Focus pass blocking scores were second best in the country. And Lord knows you didn't go to small schools, which is sometimes the excuse. So can you tell me why you think that your draft stock fell, to the sixth round?
Honestly, I really don't know, because I know I believe in the type of player I am and how good a player I am and how good a player I can be moving forward into the NFL. I thought about that after I had gotten drafted, and if I could have been drafted earlier, why am I now being selected? But the more I thought about it, I'm just glad that the Vikings gave me an opportunity and give me that call, whether it was it would have been earlier or in the sixth round or seventh round. And I'm really just happy to be here, and really just I'm where God wants me to be. That's how I look at it, and I'm just excited to now be and just finish my second OTA practice today, and I'm just so excited.
I do a separate audio podcast with Bryant McKinney. He and I have been doing that for about 4 years, and when we get around draft time, we usually bang the drum on his old draft night stories. Did you have kind of a similar thing that once you got the call from Minnesota, or you knew it was Minnesota, that you seemed like your life changed in that moment, and you start figuring out where you're going to live there? Or how fast is the actual transition to say, well, my goodness, the Twin Cities, that's going to be the new home for the next 4 years?
So, I remember when I got the call, and I wasn't even looking at the TV at the time. I was upstairs talking with some people, but I had my phone with me. A number appeared, spam risk. That's the one time I don't ignore a spam risk call. So, I answer, I head downstairs where everyone else is at. And, I answer the phone, hello, and it's crazy with the Vikings. And, in my head, I'm like, what? The Vikings? They're calling me? And I just couldn't believe it. And I was trying to just gather my thoughts, because he was asking me some questions, and I was like, okay, I gotta give some good answers here. And, because I was still stuck on him on the Vikings calling, and just that alone. But after I got the call, and then I did some interviews after with the Vikings, and getting some more information to them and whatnot. And they're like, okay, in a week and a half or so, we're gonna fly you out here. We got rookie mini camp, and be in the OTAs and what we're in right now. And right now we're staying in the team hotel right across from the facility, which is great. And all those different thoughts about, okay, am I gonna have a car? Where am I gonna live and whatnot? They're all just racing through my head. But I was just I had a lot of things going on at the same time too, because I'm just celebrating with my families, my family, my loved ones, my friends. And I just take a step back, talk with my agent about don't worry, we got you don't have to stress about these things. It's gonna be under control. So it wasn't as fast as I thought it would be, but still moving fast. It's not like I was only home for about 8-9 days before coming out here, and I'll get to go home in the summer. After that, maybe I'll come back in February, January, the next time I get to come home. So it's it's definitely fast moving. You have to get your affairs in order, because once you get for the season, you're in for the long haul. It's different than college. Go from 12 weeks, 14 weeks to playoffs to 17 weeks or 18 weeks minimum, and then plus playoffs if you make it.
Yeah, McKinney always says once you get to July, July turns into Groundhog Day, and then you're at the same thing, basically football, until the off season. So I'm sure you know that, but McKinney is sure to articulate that every off season. Brevan, what do you got for Walter Rouse, Minnesota Vikings rookie tackle?
Yeah, there's an easy answer here, I guess, because of the Oklahoma connections. But just thinking of the Vikings just as a franchise, and I know on our neck of the woods, the Vikings aren't really thought of as much, and people are more gravitate toward like the Ravens and Commanders now. But were there any Vikings? Because we're like this. I think I'm a year older, so we're about the same age. Is there any Vikings that you watched growing up that you're like, I like that guy?
I guess the Vikings. So I would say. I mean, I guess I don't know. If I watched, Justin Jefferson. He's the most recent guy I've watched. But also, more so in terms of me growing up would be Adrian Peterson. And especially I went back and watched a lot more of his tape and film when I got to Oklahoma and I had access to that kind of film and stuff. And but yeah, definitely Adrian Peterson. But I've also gone and watched like Alan Page and this kind of stuff on YouTube. Randall McDaniel. I've met Steve Hutchinson multiple times. I coach at Oklahoma. Our assistant coach Phil Lodeholt. Who he has got connections up here. So great speaking with him. And so like when I got drafted to the Vikings, we actually spoke on the phone. Like, I'm gonna have a great time up here. So it was cool. Like I had that connection with them. But yeah, so I would say definitely those guys. And then guys we played back in the day. Went back and watched NFL Top 100. YouTube shorts, different things like that. But yeah, it's really great players and amazing to watch.
Yeah, and I think for sure, like, and I'm only in my early mid-20s, but even now, like, I say, like, kids these days don't know how good Adrian Peterson was. Like the 11, 12-year-old kids, like, I forgot how good Adrian Peterson was. I have to remind, like, every 2 or 3 months, I have to remind myself how good Adrian Peterson was and just watch highlights and stuff. So yeah, that's the easy one.
I mean, the way he came back from the ACL injury in I think less than 6 months, and then still led the league or broke the record or something. Like he's insane. He's a workhorse.
Yeah, when he tore his ACL at FedEx Field, I was about ready to drive up there and carry him off myself.
Right. Yeah, Lodeholt and McKinney were teammates, so I bet Lodeholt, considering you guys play the same position and then drafted by the same team, I bet you he was over the moon when he figured out the Vikings snatched you up.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He started. He was like reaching out to seeing if he has what contacts were left still with the Vikings, and he was like, I got the best food spots. You need to go here for this. Let me know if you got any questions, and so yeah, absolutely. We had a good talk on the conversation that night that I got drafted. So yeah, he was definitely very excited.
Yeah, that's fantastic. On the current depth chart, I think you would be classified as second in line behind Christian Darrisaw. At least that's my perception of the depth chart. Would you consider yourself, like, I know you have to see training camp in the preseason, but would you consider yourself game ready on the depth chart if, Darrisaw tweaked an ankle or something as early as this season?
Well, I got to be honest with you. I haven't even thought about the depth chart at all that much. I've really just been focused on getting in, get whatever opportunity that I have, getting in with OTAs, because still got some older guys who are more experienced and more game ready than I am right now, who would get in before me, and just watching them and how they practice, how they work, and really just utilizing and making the most of my opportunity. I would have to say I got put in right now. I'm all about the next man up mentality. I'm gonna do my best out there, but I know I need some more work. But really, I've just been focusing on, getting the playbook, because it's, I think Coach has been doing a great job. Coach Cooper's been doing a great job with how he's been, tapering off the, of how we're learning the plays and whatnot. But it's still a lot, and I still just got to, keep my head in the books, basically. So I haven't really thought about that much. But I will, my goal is to play this year. And I know after training camp that I know I will be ready with, after training camp, all of OTAs and whatnot. But I'm just very excited to be here with the Vikings and, get to seize my opportunity.
When we landed you as a guest, I started to do a little bit more homework, so I knew where you were from and all that. And there was one article, I believe, from Daily Norseman that said that you could perhaps play guard. And I was like, well, that'd be one big damn guard. So do you have versatility to play right tackle or guard or anything? Or is it straight left tackle, at least how you consider yourself?
Well, I've always played in college for all 5 years. I've been at left tackle. Definitely can play right tackle. Definitely, if I'm not starting, I want to be in that swing tackle spot. But in the beginning of the year, when I was getting calls by teams and Shrine Bowl Combine, some teams were asking me about playing guard, and
really,
I have never really played guard before at all, really. And so, I started working on some sets, back home, training and whatnot. But if the Vikings need me to play guard, you trust me, I'll just be the tallest guard there is. I will, I will do whatever they need me to do, especially if that means I get to be on the field and play some NFL football. So, I'd rather be a tackle, but if they want me to be the guard, I'll be the best guard they've ever seen.
All right, sweet. When we went through this patch of Vikings football about 4 or 5 years ago where guard was a roster weakness, and we would talk about a lot with McKinney, and I'd ask him about it. I said, could you have played guard in a pinch in your career? And he'd be like, what? No, I'm way too big. He's like, hell no, I ain't playing no damn guard. So there's a lot of talk about versatility. Maybe it's more in this era. And so I'm encouraged by your answer. And so with McKinney, he was 6'8", and would have been the biggest guard like in NFL history. So all right, so you do got a little bit of that versatility. Brevan, we got time for 2 more for Walter Rouse.
Yeah, and we talked a little pre-show about DMV, DC area. And of course, around here, you're either a Ravens fan, a Commanders fan. There's the really annoying like Cowboys fans, like there are everywhere, unfortunately. But where did you fall into either one of those fan bases? Did you kind of root for the hometown team? Who was your team growing up?
My team was Commanders. Unfortunately, I don't like to say that name, but they got rid of the old name.
Yeah.
I find it very hard to believe. Oh, well, it's not hard to believe because I've seen it with my own eyes and I've heard it, but there are Cowboys fans in the D.C., Maryland, Virginia area, which just makes no sense to me. And I don't understand how you can look me in the face and say you're a Cowboys fan and you live here. But it's okay. But, yeah, I'm a Commanders fan. I used to say, in my lifetime, I hope they get to win a Super Bowl. Now it's just I hope they get to win a Super Bowl after the Vikings win a Super Bowl. So, hopefully we get to see them win something one day.
Yep.
No, for sure. The Cowboys fan thing is just like I see Steelers fans around here. That makes sense. There's Eagles fans around here. That makes sense. But the Cowboys fan, I feel like that's around. Do you have a lot there, Dustin, in the Dakotas? Is there a lot of Cowboys fans? They're kind of everywhere.
Yeah, they are. They're like the Yankees or the like Duke. They're just kind of like the team. Like if you've ruled everything else out, you're like, wait a second, you're a Cowboy fan. Answer. They're like, yeah. And then they also like the Lakers, the Yankees, Duke. There's Notre Dame. They like all the big schools that were on NBC when they were growing up. Yeah, it's kind of a weird phenomenon. All right, we got one more for you, Walter. I want to ask you this. So how many days now have you been like with teammates and such? Like, been a part of the gang now?
I think I'm going on, let's see, today is Tuesday, so 11 days, I think, total since I got here on Thursday. So this Thursday would make it 2 weeks. So I think I'm around 11 days with the rookies, and then whenever I think maybe total of about 8 days with everybody, with the vets too. I think it's been that long. So it's been cool getting to know everybody, talking to the tackles, Brian, CD, the rest of the O-line room, getting to know those guys, and then it's the rest of the locker room as well. And, talking with JJ. I remember when I first met Sam Darnold, and, I didn't even recognize it was him until, he's like, hey, my name's Sam. I was like, my name's Walter. And I was like, oh, that was Sam Darnold. I was like, oh, wow. Yeah. But it's been great getting to know everybody. And, been doing, I think we got like some team activity we're going to do tomorrow. And, we're just, have bonding. And I think Coach O'Connell's doing a great job with, not only having practice, but having that bonding off the field as well, which will help lead to a better team during the season.
In those 11 days, I was curious to see if it was, longer than a couple, and I thought it was. Do you get the perception that this 2024 team is in it to win it? Like, because this last decade, the Vikings have self-described all-in stakes with Cousins on the roster. This year, it feels a little different from our standpoint because the rookie quarterback will eventually take over. We don't know if it's this year. Does it feel like a playoff team amongst the guys?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, everyone there, and like I said, I can't speak to how it was in previous years, and I'm sure it was the same. Everyone here, we're here to win, and we're trying to win that Super Bowl. That's and honestly, do that year after year after year. Everyone coming in from the rookies to the vets who've been here a while have that mindset. And even with OTAs, walk through tempo. We got to fight to keep it in a walk through tempo because everyone is so competitive and wants to get better and focus on that details and all those techniques. And I know I'm helping make the defense better. The defense is definitely helping making me better. And even from the strength, the nutrition, everyone is making sure they're on their P's and Q's. And I think Coach O'Connell's done a great job leading that. Quasi's been doing a great job putting it all together, and the Wills family, they've been amazing, especially with the facility. I remember walking in there and I'm like, is this a resort? I mean, this is the little details and stuff. So everyone is in it to win it, so to say. And, we're all in, and, we're going to just, put our nose to the ground and just keep working.
Awesome. All right, sir. Well, we sincerely appreciate you joining. Maybe we can hit you up around training camp or something like that, and you can swing by on some sort of evening like that. Other than that, Walter, do you have any closing arguments here for VikesNow?
I just want to say I'm very excited to be a Viking, and I can't wait to begin the 2024 season, especially going up to London. That's going to be very, very exciting. Look forward to doing that. And first, got to get through training camp and whatnot. That's going to be awesome. I think we got a joint practice with Miami. I think very excited about that. I'm just happy to be here. So, Skol Vikes.
All right, man. You have a wonderful evening. We'll talk to you in July sometime. Brevan, we'll talk to you Saturday night. All right.
Absolutely.
All right, guys.
Thank
Take
you,
it
guys.
easy. Thanks again. Later.
Yep.